Alright, so you spend countless hours watching guides on the internet and how you can reach Immortal. You've been watching your favorite rating streamers trying to emulate everything they do in your games, and every tournament you've watched has taught you something different about the game. Lurking, cutting noise, running fakes, defaulting, but just nothing seems to work. And why? Well, what's funny is that these advanced things that these high-ranked players are doing are meant to beat other high-ranked players. Immortal rotations are going to be much different from gold rotations. Like, let's say, for example, you're 5-hitting Icebox on A site, you stop, cut all noise, and then decide to re-hit A after like 30 seconds. Odds are, if you're playing in a gold lobby, there's still going to be all 5 people on the A site, and your team is going to get rolled because you just ran into a gold 5 stack. The reason it doesn't work is because gold players don't really think when they play. So when you do cut noise, they're not really processing what could be going on. All they think is, well, we stopped them people here, so they must still be here. So then they never end up rotating. These things are important to know though, because when you do face a decent team and you don't know how to do things like cut noise, your team becomes too one-dimensional. However, in gold, tricks aren't important because players aren't going to be able to understand what the trick is, and you're better off just playing solid and don't overcomplicate things. You see, people in lower elos don't really understand the fundamentals of the game. They don't know when to rotate, they don't know how to trade. They're like a bunch of golden retrievers running around and having fun, but not really understanding what's going on. Like when a good player sees a smoke, let's say for example they're smoked off on B site, on CT, on Ascent, they usually know not to push through it. But if a gold player sees a smoke, they're tightening their sneakers, I guarantee you, and they're going to run through that thing full speed ahead. So when you're trying to get yourself out of gold, you want to be focusing on the pure fundamentals of the game. And that's what we're going over today. Why Immortal level tactics won't work in these gold lobbies. When playing against lower elos, something I notice a lot is that rotates are extremely slow or extremely fast. There's really no in between. So in order to abuse these rotations, it's important that your team has good spacing. Now what does that mean? Spacing is pretty simple, but it's really important. It means how much space is between you and your teammate. The reason why this is so important is because if you're too far away, you won't be able to get the trade on your teammate. Let's say for example, you're executing out of A short on bind. There's an enemy in U-Haul peeking out trying to get a kill. Your entry frag is running in, he flashes and dies, and the person in U-Haul is able to back up and hide in cover. Because he was able to get away, he has time to reset his crosshair, aim at head level, and get ready to kill another guy. But if you're right behind your entry, that person no longer has time to get back into cover, you get the trade, and then you clear out the rest of the site. So if you're a good support player, you should be glued to your duelist and get ready to trade them out. After the initial contact, you should be able to tell whether or not to keep going. If you're noticing the util from at least like 3 or 4 different agents, that's a pretty telltale sign that you should leave. In Immortal lobbies, sometimes you'll see players canceling their hits, cutting their noise, and trying to play mind games with their opponents. The issue is that in gold lobbies, no one really talks to each other, so no one really knows what's going on. So in that example I mentioned way earlier, if you hit A site, go silent, and re-hit, the site might be stacked and not matter what your spacing is like. You're going to get rolled if you're running into 4 or 5 players playing defensively on a site. So instead of trying to play mind tricks on people who don't have minds to trick, it's just easiest to have good spacing with your teammates, trade, communicate, and then decide if it's still worth pushing into said site or rotating onto another. Now before we get into the rest of the guide, I just want to say that if you're looking for other guides, we have those as well as SkillCapped. Or if you want your VOD reviewed by one of us, we can do that as well. We have Smurf commentaries where Radiant level players talk you through their games and show you how to play in higher ranked games more effectively. Or maybe if you wanted to learn how to run a default, learn a specific agent, or just how to get better, we have specific guides tailored to all of those. We also have a rank improvement guarantee, so if you don't see your rank improving, you'll get your money back. But there's literally so much value here, I find it hard that you won't improve. If you're looking for the fastest way to climb in Valorant, be sure to check out SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. So if you've watched some of our previous videos, we've talked about how lurking is a pretty big skill to learn. When you're lurking, you really want to feel things out and try to catch a timing on your opponent when they're rotating off of a site so you can get an easy kill in the back, or tell your team when to rotate. If you want to learn how to lurk, we'll have a guide coming out soon showing you the ins and outs of it. The issue with lurking is like what I said before. People might not rotate because nobody knows what's going on. In gold lobbies, you might have little Timmy sitting right outside the entrance to A main on Ascent with his Phantom, and he won't leave the site until the bomb's planted on B. The reason why this sucks for lurkers is because this is a 50-50 angle that will get destroyed by anything that resembles an execute. But you'll die to it because you're lurking. You can't clear both of these angles at the same time. And you'll be asking yourself, why is this guy still standing here? So while lurking is usually really good if you do it right, it's a lot harder to do in gold lobbies because you just can't predict what the enemy's going to do. And as you rank up, you'll start experiencing the different ranks will react and rotate based on different things. So if you want to lurk at lower ranks, just be ready for anything from these golden retrievers. So something you see a lot of in higher elo lobbies is this concept of taking map control. And I want to use an example here. Let's say you're playing defense on Ascent and there's a boatload of pressure in A main. In Immortal lobbies, the people defending B will still usually drone it out or send a skydog out of B main and make sure it's actually clear and then proceed to take that space. In lower elos though, you usually don't need to do this. This is because the amount of 5 pushing I see done on attack side in gold lobbies is astounding. Literally everybody just 5 pushes one half of the map because they don't have this fundamental understanding of map control. This means that you usually don't have to waste this utility clearing out this space as it's usually free. This leads for pretty easy flanks and you can sandwich the enemy team as they're trying to take A. As long as your teammates know how to throw a molly and stop a push, you'll be fine. And then this is where flanking comes into play. Gold players never usually expect to flank, and when they start punishing you for it, that's when their 5 hits start getting weaker and weaker, as they usually don't know how to lurk. They'll usually have somebody just sit out a B main and wait for you, but then you just never come, so they're just wasting their time, and then it's sort of a counterplay thing. So if you're facing against a gold team that just loves to rush sites, don't be afraid and just run out and flank. If you get punished for it, that's fine. Just remember that for the next round and be more careful. The next thing I want to talk about are how each map should be played and how higher ranked players play each map. Let's take Split for example. For some reason, nobody knows how to play this map, but it's super simple. The map is structured where attackers basically need to take mid in order to properly split each site. Once mid is taken, defenders are split, so they have to choose whether to defend B or A. And then once you take this mid control, defenders don't have an easy time rotating through mid and have to take the longer route through their spawn. So in higher ranks in tournaments, you'll see a lot of teams throw 3 or 4 people in mid in order to take it. So in preparation for that, defenses will usually elect to give up mid and play crossfires, or throw a lot of utility in return in order to stop the attackers from taking it. But when you're playing against lower ranked players, take whatever knowledge you know about each map, and honestly, just throw it out the window. It doesn't matter. In Split, you basically only need to have your Sage wall mid, and then play for sites, and gold players basically just run it up each site. So the advantage from walling mid gives you an easy rotate over to each site, depending on which site they're going to hit. And then this is the main reason that leads lower ranked players to believe that Split is CT sided, which it is, it's just not the main reason that they're thinking. Really quickly, the main thing about Split is that you just want to make it awkward for attackers to kill you, and there's just so many different angles that you can kill them from. Think about it, if you give up mid, and then the attackers want to go through heaven and take B site, they're exposing themselves to almost 80 different angles that they're not going to be able to cover all at once. Like, you could put one of your teammates in rafters and put somebody by new box, and then once the enemy team starts coming out, you both peek out, and then you just kill them all. Okay, back to what I was saying though. This is the case on every map. Gold players just don't know how to play each map. On Haven, you might as well just stack A or C because nobody lurks, you could just throw a tripwire in there. On Icebox, you might as well just forget about mid. And on Breeze, people just run it up the gut, A or B. And you get what I mean. And now before you head into the comments to tell me that how you're a gold player and none of these really affect you, let me preface by saying that this doesn't apply to everybody obviously, just the majority from what I watch and what I review. So now with all this being said, if you want to rank up out of gold, it's not going to take much besides some confidence, game sense, and good fundamentals. Like I said before, if you just keep good spacing between yourself and your entries, you usually have a free site. As people in these lower elos don't know how to set up proper crossfires. Honestly, as long as you're just crossing your T's and dotting your I's and keeping good crosshair placement, you'll rank up out of gold, just try not to overcomplicate things, and you win. Like I said, these gold players are basically just little happy golden retrievers who don't know what's going on. This is all just win and depth guide that we have on our website though. Also, if you want a chance at having your VOD reviewed, be sure to subscribe on our website at SkillCapped.com. We also have tons of Radiant Smurf commentaries where we have Radiant level players walk you through these gold lobbies and show you how to have the most impact possible on every round. And they're super helpful to see in real time what goes through a top tier player's head. As we mentioned before, it's also backed by a rank improvement guarantee. And the reason we do that is because we're just that confident that our service works. And if it doesn't work, then you shouldn't pay. So what are you waiting for? You got nothing to lose. Head on over to SkillCapped.com and get started on your way to that rank that you deserve. I hope this video helped you guys recognize how some of these advanced things that you see in higher level play doesn't really work in these unpredictable lower elo lobbies. As you trudge through these ranks, you'll see lots of bizarre things that'll make you scratch your head. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help us out. And that's all for us. I'm Teets, and we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.